What is the first thing you should do if your vehicle's air pressure warning light comes on? Stop safely as soon as possible and investigate the problem. Early diagnosis prevents total brake failure. Pressure checked. Rolling on. The air compressor governor controls. When the air compressor will pump air into the air storage tanks. Maintains proper cut-in and cut-out pressures. Air steady. Move out. How often should you drain your air tanks? Daily. Removing moisture prevents freeze-ups and corrosion. Tanks drained. Carry on. The safety valve in an air brake system is set to open at what pressure? 150 psi. Releases excess pressure to protect components. Pressure safe. Onward. What is the maximum allowable air loss rate in 1 minute for a single vehicle, Class B, with the engine off and brakes applied? No more than 3 psi. Ensures enough pressure to hold the brakes. Leak minimal. Proceed. Why are dual air brake systems safer than single systems? If one system fails, the other can still operate the brakes. Redundancy prevents total brake loss. Backup ready. Move on. What is the purpose of slack adjusters on an air brake system? To adjust the distance the pushrod moves when the brakes are applied. Keeps brake shoes at correct clearance. Adjustment set. Continue. What is the correct procedure to check if the air compressor is building pressure correctly? Run the engine at fast idle and check that air pressure builds from 85 to 100 psi in 45 seconds. Rapid build confirms healthy compressor. Pressure built. Onward. What does it mean if the low air pressure warning signal comes on? The air pressure in the tanks has dropped below 60 psi. You need to stop before brakes fail completely. Warning heard. Move out. When driving a vehicle with air brakes, what is brake lag? The time required for the brakes to work after the brake pedal is pushed. Anticipating lag reduces stopping distance. Lag noted. Carry on. What should you do if your air brakes fail while driving? Downshift, use the parking brake gently and look for an escape ramp. Engine braking and gradual slowdown save lives. Recovery made. Onward. What is the purpose of ABS? To help you maintain steering control during hard braking. Prevents wheel lockup and skidding. ABS active. Move on. When driving a vehicle with ABS, how should you apply the brakes during an emergency stop? Apply firm, steady pressure. Do not pump the brakes. ABS modulates for you. Just hold. Stop complete. Continue. What is the most important reason for doing a pre-trip inspection? For safety. Finding defects early protects everyone. Checked safe. Keep rolling. What is the minimum tread depth for front tires on a commercial vehicle? 4/30 inch. Adequate tread ensures steering grip. Tread's good. Move out. How many reflective triangles must you carry in your vehicle for emergencies? 3. Proper placement warns traffic from all sides. Markers set. Carry on. When performing a pre-trip inspection, you should check for how much play in the steering wheel. No more than 10 degrees, about 2 inches on a 20-inch wheel. Tight steering maintains control at speed. Steering tight. Onward. What is the purpose of the slack adjusters? To maintain proper brake adjustment, ensures effective braking without dragging. Brake set. Move on. What is hydroplaning and what should you do if it occurs? When tires lose contact with the road due to water, release accelerator, steer straight, and do not brake hard. Gentle inputs help regain traction. Traction back. Continue. When driving, how far ahead should you look? At least 12 to 15 seconds ahead. Early hazard detection allows safe reaction times. Eyes forward. Move out. What is the danger of driving with worn tires? Reduced traction, especially in wet conditions leading to instability. Fresh rubber keeps you glued to the road. Tires safe. Onward. What is the best way to deal with distractions while driving? Focus on the road, avoid multitasking, and pull over if necessary. One task at a time keeps crashes at bay. Focus locked. Continue. What is aggressive driving? Operating a vehicle in a selfish, bold, or pushy manner without regard for others' rights or safety. Courtesy on the road prevents road rage. Drive calm. Onward. When should you use your headlights? At dusk, dawn, in bad weather, or whenever visibility is reduced. Being seen and seeing clearly are both vital. Lights on. Move out. What is the purpose of the safety relief valve in an air brake system? To prevent air pressure from building too high in the tanks. Protects hoses and tanks from rupture. Valve ready. Carry on. What is the main cause of commercial vehicle rollovers? Driving too fast on curves or taking turns too sharply. Speed plus high load height equals tipping hazard. Curve managed. Continue. What is the legal alcohol concentration limit for CDL holders operating a CMV? 0.04%. Even a single drink can push you past the limit. Sober driving, move on. What is the bridge formula used for? To determine the maximum legal weight that can be carried on a set of axles to prevent bridge damage. Proper loading preserves infrastructure. Load legal, onward. What should you do if you're being tailgated by another vehicle? Increase your following distance and create more space ahead. A buffer zone prevents rear-end crashes. Space cleared. Continue. What is the proper procedure for backing a CMV? Use mirrors, use a spotter, and back slowly and carefully. Multiple checks avoid costly contact. Back safe. Move out. What is the function of the air compressor governor? Controls when the air compressor pumps air into the storage tanks, maintains proper brake system pressure. Pressure managed. Continue. What is the purpose of controlled braking? To apply the brakes as hard as possible without locking the wheels. Maximizes stopping force on slick surfaces. Braking done. Onward. What should you do if your vehicle is involved in an accident? Protect the area, notify authorities, and care for the injured. Quick action ensures safety and legal compliance. Scene secured. Move on. How do you check the low air pressure warning signal? Fan the air pressure down below 60 psi with the engine off. Confirm the buzzer and light work before you roll. Signal tested. Carry on. What is the maximum load weight for a single axle in most states? 20,000 pounds. Overloads damage roads and safety systems. Axle safe. Onward. What does a red dashboard light for oil pressure typically indicate? Low oil pressure, which can cause engine damage. Stop immediately to prevent engine failure. Oil normal. Move on. What is the rule for placing warning devices, triangles, on a two-lane road? Within 10 feet of the front or rear, 100 feet behind, and 200 feet behind. Proper spacing warns traffic from both directions. Markers set. Continue. What is the danger of overloading the front axle of your vehicle? Can lead to steering problems and excessive tire wear. Front-end sag makes steering heavy and unsafe. Load shifted? Move on. What is the proper use of a fire extinguisher on a vehicle fire? Aim at the base of the fire, sweep from side to side. Targeting fuel stops flames fastest. Fire out. Onward. What is the danger of carrying a load that is not balanced properly? It can affect steering, braking, and cause instability or rollover. Even weight distribution keeps handling predictable. Load balanced. Carry on. What is the primary cause of traffic accidents involving CMVs? Driver error, e.g., speeding, distraction, fatigue. Safe habits prevent most crashes. Drive smart. Move on. What should you do if your tires start to lose traction on a slippery road? Ease off the accelerator, hold the steering wheel firmly, and avoid sudden movements. Smooth control restores grip. Traction back. Continue. What is the minimum distance you should stop from the nearest rail of a railroad crossing? At least 15 feet and no more than 50 feet. Keeping clear avoids collision with trains. Distance kept. Onward. When driving, what should you do if you hear a thump indicating a tire problem? Pull over safely and inspect your tires. Early checks prevent blowouts. Tire safe. Move on. What component stores compressed air in the air brake system? Air tanks. Reservoirs provide braking power on demand. Tanks ready. Carry on. What is the function of the foot valve in an air brake system? It controls the amount of air pressure sent to the brake chambers, regulates stopping force based on pedal input. Valve set. Onward. What is the purpose of air brake glad hands? To connect the air lines between a truck and a trailer, secures an airtight link for combined braking. Lines joined. Move on. When inspecting air brakes, how much pushrod travel should you generally see on a slack adjuster? No more than about 1 inch. Excess stroke signals warn linings. Stroke checked. Continue. What can happen if you do not drain your air tanks regularly? Water and oil can accumulate, causing damage to the brake system. Contaminants lead to corrosion and freeze-ups. Tanks dry. Move on. What is brake fade in air brakes? When excessive heat causes the brakes to lose effectiveness. Resting brakes and using engine braking prevent fade. Fade avoided. Onward. How does engine braking help when going down a long grade with air brakes? It helps slow the vehicle, reducing the need for continuous use of service brakes. Less brake heat means reliable stopping power. Engine helped. Move on. What is the primary difference between a service brake and a parking emergency brake in an air brake system? Service brakes are applied by air pressure. Parking emergency brakes are spring activated when air pressure is released. Two systems ensure you can always stop. Systems clear, continue. What should you do if your air brake system shows a leak that cannot be fixed immediately? Do not drive the vehicle until the leak is repaired. Operating with leaks risks total brake loss. Leak fixed, onward. What is the cutout pressure for an air compressor governor? The pressure at which the air compressor stops pumping air, usually 100 to 125 psi, maintains tank pressure without overworking the compressor. Cutout reached, move on. Why should you avoid continuous use of the service brakes on long downgrades? It can cause the brakes to overheat and fade. Engine braking and intermittent service brake use keeps you safe. Descent safe. Finish.